Dr. Joanne Tull, University of the West Indies lecturer in cultural industries development and management, writer, researcher. It's been elucidating having this conversation with you this morning, and I thank you so much for taking the time. I know you will stay through Dr. McGuire's other side of it. Yes,
She's going to sit right.
Yes, he ensured that he blocked the door. Doctor, let me just turn. This is a Brunch you're listening to, and we dealt with the question of finding money elsewhere. We're going to talk with the area of what is before us. The government decided recently, the Prime Minister announced, the government announced that we are going to deal with the Heritage and Stabilization Fund as two separate entities. Argument is we are not going to, in fact, take our money only through borrowing. We are, in fact, going to take what was put aside by its own definition, Stabilization Fund, to stabilize. Thus, it puts less of a strain on our children later on. Do you agree with that move, firstly?
I was very pleased to hear that move. Ever since the Heritage and Stabilization Fund was established, that there ought to be two funds. If you're talking heritage is like pension. Mm-hmm. It is for future generations. Yes. And it should not be determined by the price of the commodity. Essentially, the rationale for the thing is, you see, there are two rationales. The rationale for the Stabilization Fund is we live in an economy that is exposed to volatility in prices. Prices swing up and down, and our incomes swing up and down, and so we need to take care of periods in which our income falls, and we need to have something to top up the income. So that we keep, right? And that's stabilization. Heritage, the argument is that we're producing a non-renewable resource, and therefore we, the people of today, can't be using out all and not leaving for tomorrow. So as we consume it today, we must put aside some for the children of tomorrow, for our children and our children's children. And therefore, if that is the rationale for it, that cannot be price sensitive. In other words, I've always argued that heritage needs to be taken off the top of the income. We need to say that 5% of production each year, whether production is 100 barrels or 10,000 barrels or 10 million barrels, 5% of that goes, the value of 5% of that goes towards heritage. And that stays there. And we invest that fund accordingly over time. Stabilization is a completely different thing. You put money aside in periods of high prices and so on. So having said that, it is good in my mind that the government has separated it. I think the major issue that arises now is two. One is the stabilization money. How is that to be used? The money that you're taking out from stabilization, how is that to be used?
It seems as though a great percentage of that is going to be used to pay some of the bills inherited by this
government. So many bills, yeah. But the other thing that they said, and that is understandable in this context, the other thing that they said was that the Heritage Fund will be used for investments and in approved projects, and that worries me because we really have to be very, very careful about the way we utilize the Heritage Fund. You see, one argument is that putting it in the banks and putting it in A-class securities is not enough. That's not going to generate enough income. So let's invest it in, say, some other major business that is going to generate a higher ROI than just resting it down in the bank. And there's value in that argument, but we just need to be careful about how we invest it.
That voice you're hearing is a former bank economist, central bank economist. He also worked with the National Gas Company for a long time. And we have him here this morning. It is Dr. Gregory McGuire. The draconian measures folks are anticipating that may come with a revised budget. You're saying that what is being, the narrative now is very comforting in the sense that we don't have the skies falling. It is a dose of reality, but it is not the doom and gloom. There are many who believe draconian measures are going to follow when we have the updated version of this budget. Do you share that skepticism?
Well, I think that the government will have to do more than it has announced so far. I think that obviously they will take their time about where they cut expenditure, but there are going to be some expenditure cuts. We're first going to focus on trying to boost efficiency, which is cutting out waste, and there's a lot of waste about the place. And then on the other hand, there's going to be more effort at raising revenues. And my own view is that there's a lot of revenue to be raised out there. I mean, I don't think that the tax system in this country is efficient at all.
I think everyone would agree on that.
I think people don't pay VAT. People very boldly ask you if you want a receipt, which tells you that they have two sets of books running, and that's pretty common. We know we don't have to name names, as we know who those people are.
But that's a great area of employment there, because I can take so many university graduates and put them to work with this new revenue authority. There are a lot of people who are just getting past this tax system, including the optimistic outlook of my guest, Dr. Tull, that those who are involved in maths will tell you how much they use for what year, right? Yeah. But there's a lot of employment that can be had from this one. And a revenue authority, I am confident, can bring you a whole lot of money. The question is, as the Minister of Finance said, it's coming in force January this year. Okay, that's fine. Realistically, I mean, you were talking about some infrastructural work that I don't think is going to happen within 6 months. No, am I just jaded?
No, I think it's going to be much later than that. I agree with you. A 6-month time frame seems reasonable for such implementation. But I would like to see a revenue authority in place. I think the tax system needs to be refined. I think the administration of taxes needs to be refined. One of the big advantages of it too is because you have one authority now that are taking care of where we merge customs with border inland revenue, with the VAT office and so on. Mm-hmm. The database, they have a common database, and so you have cross checks taking place. You can't have a situation in which a guy imports X amount of goods, and then when you look on the VAT side, you're seeing no VAT being paid. I mean, what is he doing? These goods were gifts. These goods have been sold. So you should have some parallel between the VAT and the amount of imports that you see.
That's right.
So the Revenue Authority...
Which means there should be a receipt somewhere for the amount of things you brought through the port.
Yeah, of course. So the Revenue Authority gives us that capability of matching numbers, of comparing things across the various revenue streams. And that will help. So I think there's great potential for increasing the amount of revenue. And I think in many respects we could have up to a 10 or 15% increase in revenues simply by improving tax collections.
That's why I would like to see the port come under an authority like this, because even though I just like the comment on the side, at the end of the day, if you're going to have a reconciliation between what you import and what you sell, then I must have an idea of what you import, which means coming in the door, I must know what you really brought in. Should I not?
Yes, of course.
Right, it's the recognition that it takes time to put in the revenue authority. Why I ask you for this revised budget we are anticipating for the Minister of Finance. It's going to be a rough one.
I think it's going to be, I think the population, one of the things that needs to happen here is that, I know the Prime Minister has spoken and the Minister of Finance has given his budget speech and so on, but I don't think that we are anywhere near where we ought to be in terms of educating the population about what may come and the challenges that the country faces. You just need to look at the spend over the Christmas vacation, over the Christmas season, and you know that people have not adjusted their minds yet. It may well be that they tell themselves, well, look, let's have fun for the last, this is the last of the great days, so let's enjoy.
It was Christmas, it was the last supper,
it's Christmas in the carnival, and we have fun, and afterwards we will deal with the problem. And it may well be that that's the mentality. But at the end of the day, I think the government has a responsibility to educate the population about the nature of the crisis and what they're expected to do. And there are many little things that could happen. And I think the state also needs to take the lead in a lot of these things. For example, there's a simple thing about electricity and how people use electricity in this country. And it worries me no end. Because it's an area in a lot of ways.
Yes.
One, electricity rates are very low.
Too low.
Right? Too low. It creates all manners of inefficiencies. Secondly, because it's too low, we waste it at all levels. We waste it at the state, we waste it at companies, we waste it at the household. And what people don't understand is that it also burns natural gas.
Yes.
Still natural gas that we're short of, electricity burns a lot of gas. And so there's savings to be had all around by a simple program that says, let's conserve electricity right through.
You can speak, if you have an event, for instance, since we're getting close to Carnival, you've got an all-inclusive event. And in the all-inclusive event, you decide, I am going to make sure I have the good quality behaviorally of people coming to this party. Then what you do is you move the price from 1,000 to 1,800. You do an automatic filter. And I think in the point I'm making on this is to get people in compliance we have to start letting them pay for what they use. It's going to be a hard thing for folks to swallow, but listen, I'm going to double the cost of the electricity you use, and then you become more frugal, you become more prudent, you become more measured in the way you use it.
You know, I think that is where we're going. In a number of areas, we will see prices increasing, or we see tariff rates increasing. Only because primarily because the country cannot afford. And measures will be put in place, of course, to protect the poor and the most vulnerable in the society. For example, two-tier electricity rates will do that quite well. In the sense that the first tranche of electricity that you consume remains low, but as you go up in burning kilowatt hours, the prices increases.
Just so I'm very clear, you're saying that you do a median as to what a normal household should use.
That's right.
You keep that price at a certain price, and anytime you go into the luxury category.
That's right, and it's easy to determine that.
Yes, ask my tax man, he will tell you that. $5 more, I'm in a different category too, but I'm sorry, I digress.
Right, and it happens very easily with electricity. But you know, one of the things that is happening in the country now, I think, is that as soon as government starts speaking adjustments, you know, you'll have a hue and a cry about these things. And it's partly because people don't know. It's partly because people don't understand the crisis. And that's why I'm arguing that the government needs to make a greater effort in helping to people to understand what it is we're coping with.